Hi, my friend. I wish this technology was when I started playing KSP to film a lot of things. I want to share with you what I am doing right now. I am doing a series of missions to reach what is the better technique to reach to orbit with less fuel with a specific rocket. And I do a lot of missions to do that. No, a lot of missions have successful in reach to orbit, left the spacecraft with minimal fuel in space. Uh, is very nice achievement for me. And his text that I am showing you is the all mission parameters to reach that. There are some 20 rocket configurations to reach the orbit. And the date when the rocket configuration went done starting in 28th day of KSP and continue to ascend. No? This is the configuration of the rocket. This is the second stage, and this is the third stage. For this program I only use four kinds of rockets and near six or seven second stage. Um, Generally, the rockets are carried by unmanned capsules to reach the other project that is the what is the better technique to re-entry to the curving with precision, meaning I want to curve a spacecraft and land exactly in KSC, and that is the secondary missions. Thus, this is the project paper, starting with the project named Pisca 21 project. No, the objective rocket performance and reach to orbit procedure research. The general objectives, the conditions prioritary to formulate missions, technique to reach the orbit, what technique we will use to reach the orbit, rocket configurations for the missions. Those are that are all the missions using a specific configuration. Uh, Brief of four rocket types and one what are configurations for each rocket. This is the faces. I don't know how to pronounce of the project for various kinds of research. Some phases have missions like that to reach a specific thing. The X meaning the mission is completed to the end, and the slash means the mission is current flying, and etc 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 etc. There are failures too. I only have one failure. Is it failure like the rocket have a problem and don't reach to orbit? But I have other incidents too, but aren't many. This is the phases of the project, and when it starts, no, it's the timeline of the project. I was a accident with this kind of rocket is very similar to the Titan 3, and on and one of the boosters touched the one of the main engines, exploding in, and the rocket started tumbling. And I need to ground all the kind of rocket to investigate what is the problem with that rocket. This is the configuration of the first stage to know what is the exact velocity at the moment of the separation, to make calculations to reach the orbit with exactitude. This is the mass of the rocket at the time of the takeoff, the altitude of the rocket separation, the affirm this is the altitude in meters of the rocket separation, this is the velocity, no? This is the mission and all the configuration. As you see, the lighter rocket produce more altitude and velocity, and heavy rocket produce lesser speed, etc. This is the four configuration the rocket with all missions that I fly it with that rocket, more formulas and things to compute the proper data to reach and predict to orbit. Well, this is the core of the project. Implementation is not yet implemented because the project is not ended yet. No carbonauts is needed for this project. And this is the orbital parameters of the rocket in a brief to know what is the mass, the payload mass that configuration called carry, no? The rocket at the moment the takeoff. This is very useful if I not have any method to calculate the rocket. I could search here what payload could carry a determinating configuration to reach the orbit. This is more easy to config and get ready the rocket with a complex formulas and things like that. I implemented for this mission again called hypothetical serial. For do more interesting, I only have 3 rockets available for at the moment for any kind. This means there are only 12 rockets available to do missions, and in some cases there are rockets that are 100% reusable, and but the rescue missions need to reach to the parts that fall into the curving, is to pick up the parts and return to the assembly building. That for these parameters later like 1 day. Then the rocket or the mission need to wait to that date and time to reuse again, making some interesting. As example, this is the Shibonina 06 Delta or D Zulu, serial number 1. The last mission used in this case is Pishka D0. The rocket falling or fell to the curving in this date and is ready to reuse at this date. The next mission using that serial is Pishka E0, and etc. This is the mission plan on the each mission. The the plus meaning the mission is actual ongoing. It need to be checked with regularity to continue to accomplish the mission. The header of the mission is the timeline of the mission to make more interesting the rocket, not only building rocket and launching. I doing these things very interesting. When the mission is formulated, when the mission is available by conditions, when the pilot is assembled in the vertical assembled building, when the rocket configuration is selected, if there are delay in this case due to the accident like I said before, the KSP need to clean up, and this will be available for this time. The Suluk serial available is like later sooner I say is when the rocket first stage is ready to launch, and the start the mission where the mission is the lift off. The second part are the mission parameters. No? What is the prerequisite to execute the mission? In this case, the phase phase of the project D must complete 4 missions first to launch the mission. The Starcraft spacecraft requirement is Chakanapuyu 05A zeta, zeta, and other X-ray, is it other configuration with the rocket to make other kinder rocket to test the theories, the configuration, etc. Internal project code, because these missions are mixed with the main missions of my space program. It need to be specified what program is executing in this mission. Program parameters, what phases, what rocket config is, what orbit and what angle of the launching will be used, what is the second stage and the fuel for second stage, the first stage, what is the brief objective of this specific mission done inside the project. In this case is to test a model, no? To test is the predict as I do before to reach the orbit without failures, the serial number and etc. Here starts the mission log of the every mission of the every point of the mission. In this case is on the detailed log of the ascent of the rocket to verify variables or compare these variables with other rockets and new what happened with the rocket during the ascending phase. In this case, the mission is successful, reaching to orbit 57. In this case, 55 kilometers. Correct. 75 kilometers on 30 angle of launching. This case, do is the rocket uh, is the rocket executing like predicted? The mission is successful. Later, I have other project called Hawachayamuna. Number 3 is other project to reach velocities, reentry velocities at high speed, and that meaning this point need to be completed to continue to do missions. I usually put here X to mean that point is executed as slash when the mission this point is partially completed, a P when is partially executed, F when is a failure, N what is not executed for some reason, and etc. This is the rest of the things that the mission need to do. As example here, need to write the apoapsis in this moment of the mission, need to write the date of time, the altitude of the spacecraft at the moment, the speed, the longitude in the supertypes of curving, and etc. 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 Things in parentheses will be deleted, no will stay in the mission is only for internal purposes. And the last part are the masses or mass of the rocket, specifically with H part. The first part in this case is the capsule weight with mass is uh, 0.48 of megagrams. Megagrams is tons, but for be more specific, I am using megagrams to know what mass is doing. This thing I don't forget the how the symbol is named in English. It means that is confirmed because some of that data is predicted, other are checked in the KSP. The whiskey the whiskey mode or whiskey of the Pishka 9917 is the utility or service model of the capsule. X-ray adapter is the adapter that connects mine payload with the second stage, the firing of the or shroud of the mine spacecraft, the other equipment that usually are payloads attached to the second stage. This is the area only the second stage. If the second stage have failings, all if a, with X in my space program, meaning X-ray block, meaning a second stage. In this case, the fuel loaded in the stage, the name on the stage, and their empty mass. The Zulu adapter, in this case, Zulu is first stage. For my space program, I am using Zulu block for referring to the first stage. And the first stage fully loaded. The first stage is usually included all their masses only here. In this case, Chacanapuyu 05 Alpha or A Zulu, and a brief of the masses of the mission, very useful to calculate the predictions of the speed at the orbit at that brings. And this is an example of very and long missions to do. I love to play there, and it's very interesting for me. But the problem of play here is you waste or dedicate a lot of time to perform the checklist, and you can do long missions like visit other planets because the times are too longer. Here the times are very shorter. As you see, I am stay in day what day is 37 day. Only for reaching to other planets there are years. Uh, it's a long time. Here is a short time, but I like. The mission, very elliptical. There are missions currently to position an apoapsis in this case to perform the high-speed retrieve burns in these phases. In this case, there are only 3 missions to will perform that mission. The other missions are that are orbiting the curving are waiting a valid window to curving ice or splashing in this area, in area of the KSA. I could land in any area of the curving, but the success, the fun of this is land in KSA. That is the one like I want, because that all the mission, the polar mission, is waiting their time to pass in front of the KSP and the orbit and land here in this point. I want to land this point, no in other parts of the curve. Supposing there are other countries that no are very friendly with my space program, I need to my payloads and my spacecraft land in an area that I could retrieve in short time and with security that I need to execute. A interesting thing, but it's not illuminated. Well, forget it. And that is my current mission this time.